Hello friends, myself Dr. Nandakumar Avale from College of Engineering Ambazogai is going to deal with Applied Thermodynamics 1. This is our 16th lecture. In previous lecture, we discussed about fuels and combustion, and also we have discussed about calorific values of fuel and combustion equations, gravimetric analysis and volumetric analysis, and conversion of gravimetric analysis to volumetric analysis. So today we'll start with a new topic, that is vapor power cycles, and in that today we will see introduction to vapor power cycle and Carnot cycle, Rankine cycle. So now the power is generated from various sources such as the combustion of fuel made in the IC engine. Internal combustion engine is converted into mechanical work. That mechanical work is utilized for various purposes. Then comes gas turbine. So the gas heat generated by combustion of fuel is passed through the gas in the turbines, which are expanded in the turbines, and that heat energy is extracted in the form of mechanical work or energy. Then the heat energy produced by combustion of fuel is converted into the energy of steam, that is water is converted into steam, and that steam is expanded into the steam engine, and that work is extracted from steam engine. Then coming to the steam turbine, the heat energy produced by combustion of fuel is supplied to the water and converted into steam. That water or steam is expanded into the steam turbine in order to obtain mechanical work in the steam turbine. And then hydel power plant, the potential energy of water stored in the reservoir is passed to the water turbine, and that potential energy is converted into the mechanical work or mechanical useful work. So nuclear power plant also is similar kind of source or the mechanism which converts heat energy produced by nuclear fuels into the mechanical work. And wind energy. So energy in the wind is extracted using a windmill, and that is converted into mechanical work, and thereafterwards it is converted into electrical energy. Solar energy. The energy which is stored or which is coming on the earth from sun rays or in the form of solar radiations, that is utilized to convert it into electrical energy or heat energy by using solar collectors. So here there are many more sources to be used to convert energy from various forms into the mechanical work. So here the main aim of this topic is to study vapor power cycles. So vapor power cycles, in the sense, in many of the cycles, the working substance is used to carry heat energy from one place to another place, one unit to the another unit, and that heat energy is converted into mechanical work. So in gas turbine, gas is used to carry heat energy. Working substance is gas. Similarly, in steam turbine, the steam is used as a working substance to carry heat energy from boiler to the turbine. So now the thermal efficiency of steam power plant is about 35 to 38% only, not more than 38%. And the efficiency of gas and steam plant combined is 55 to 60%. The power developed by steam power plant is costlier because the efficiency is less. So due to the lower efficiency of steam power plant, the cost of power generation is more in a steam power plant. However, increasing power demand is met by using a steam power plant because it is easier, and we can establish the steam power plant in shorter duration, and we can fulfill the power demand which is increasing day by day by using a thermal power plant. Therefore, the thermal power plant is used to supply electrical energy or power demand. So therefore, even though this steam power plant energy produced by steam power plant is costlier, we have to prefer to the steam power plant in order to power generation. The working substance in the steam power plant is steam. The behavior of steam is not fixed. So the quality of steam changes and it does not obey any fixed law. So the phase of working substance changes from unit to unit in the cycle, whereas the working substance changes its phase in steam power plant, whereas in gas power plant the gas is working substance and the behavior of gas is certain and it obeys these gas laws. So here it is very important to study vapor power cycles because the working substance behavior of working substance is not fixed or not certain in case of steam power plant, whereas in case of gas power plant gas obeys the laws, gas laws, therefore the behavior is certain. So here we are going to study Carnot vapor cycle. So in this Carnot vapor cycle, earlier we have studied already Carnot cycle where the working substance was gas. So here the working substance used is steam. So now we will see the PV diagram and TS diagram of Carnot cycle. So this is first diagram. This is PV diagram, pressure versus volume diagram, and second one is TS diagram, temperature versus entropy diagram. So let us see what is given in this diagram. So this curve is representing saturated liquid line and second curve is representing saturated vapor line. So saturated liquid line and saturated vapor line. So here also in PV diagram, this curve up to critical point up to here, this curve is nothing but the saturated liquid line and from this point onwards this is nothing but a saturated vapor line. So now how this Carnot cycle works and what are the processes involved in Carnot cycle that we see one by one. So now A to B is the reversible isothermal evaporation. At point A, the condition of water is a saturated liquid in the sense if we supply heat energy further at the temperature, at constant temperature and at constant pressure, that water gets converted into steam. So at point A, this water is saturated and further supply of heat converts its phase into vapor. So here from point A to B, if we see on TS diagram, A to B is heat supplied to convert this water, saturated water into saturated liquid. At point B, this steam becomes dry saturated steam. So that is represented on PV diagram. At point A, the state of water is a saturated liquid and there at constant pressure it is supplied from point A to B, constant pressure and constant temperature, but actually we call this as a reversible isothermal evaporation of saturated liquid at constant pressure. So at temperature T1, so higher temperature is T1, at temperature T1 it is supplied to water to convert it into steam. So at point B, the steam is passed into the turbine and it is expanded from point B to C. Isentropic expansion takes place. Isentropic expansion means there is no supply of heat into the system or there is no heat rejection. There is zero heat exchange or heat transfer during this process B to C, during which entropy remains constant. Entropy at point B is equal to entropy at point C. Steam is passed into the turbine where the steam is expanded. So that is represented on PV diagram from B to C. So this process B to C is isentropic expansion. So we can call this as BC is reversible adiabatic expansion of the vapor. So at the end of expansion, steam is going to become wet. At point B, steam is dry saturated, and when we expand it along this B to C, at point C, steam becomes wet, and work is done here. So this is work done during B to C. So now at point C, steam is started to condense. Steam is passed into the condenser and steam starts to condense. it starts to get converted into a liquid, but the condensation process is stopped at point D, and here at point D, partially it is steam, partially it is liquid. A wet steam at point D is pressurized into the boiler. It is supplied into the boiler. We can see here C to D is a reversible isothermal condensation at temperature T2. So this is constant temperature condensation and constant pressure condensation. At point D, steam which is wet is passed into the boiler, pressurized into the boiler, and then again from unless it becomes a saturated liquid, it is supplied into the boiler. So we can see here D to A, reversible adiabatic compression of wet vapor to restore it to original liquid state. So here it was not a pure liquid, it was a mixture of liquid and steam. At point D, steam is passed into the boiler, and when it is pressurized with the help of a pump, steam enters into the boiler, and the condition of steam when it enters into the boiler, it becomes a complete liquid, a saturated liquid. Again it absorbs heat energy and gets converted into dry saturated steam. That dry saturated steam is passed into the turbine where it is expanded. Reversible adiabatic expansion or isentropic expansion from point C to D. Again it is condensed, and at point D it is pumped into the boiler, so that at the end of compression when it enters into the boiler it becomes a saturated liquid. That is shown here on PV diagram. D to C it is condensation, and D to A it is pressure is increased. So it is nothing but the mixture of liquid and vapor is supplied into the boiler. So these are the four processes in this Carnot cycle. A to B is reversible isothermal vaporization or evaporation of saturated liquid into dry saturated liquid. B to C is nothing but reversible adiabatic expansion of vapor. C to D is nothing but reversible isothermal condensation of vapor at constant pressure and temperature. And D to A is reversible adiabatic compression of wet vapor to restore its original liquid state. So this is how the Carnot cycle is represented on PV diagram and TS diagram. So there are four processes: isothermal heat addition, adiabatic expansion, then isothermal heat rejection, and adiabatic compression. So coming to next case. So now here heat is supplied from point A to B. Amount of heat supplied during process A to B, that is isothermal heat supply or evaporation process. So the heat supplied is given on TS diagram: entropy at point B minus entropy at point A into temperature T1. So this gives us heat supplied during process A to B on TS diagram. Now we can see here heat supplied is during process A to B, and entropy at point B is SB and entropy at point A is SA. If we see here, so SB is entropy at point B and SA is entropy at point A. Higher entropy minus lower entropy into temperature. So if we want to find out complete area below this line AB, uses heat transfer during process A to B. So this area of rectangle uses heat supplied. The heat supplied is given by this rectangle. So rectangle area of rectangle is AB into B, say for example D, or BE we can say. AB into BE. So AB is nothing but SB minus SA, entropy at point B minus entropy at A, and B to E distance is nothing but temperature T1. So here T1 into SB minus SA is nothing but amount of heat supplied. Then coming to amount of heat rejected. The heat rejected is during process C to D. So the area below this process CD uses heat rejected. So the amount of heat rejected at temperature T2 is given by, so entropy at point C minus entropy at point D, entropy at point C minus entropy at point D. into temperature T2. So this gives us amount of heat rejected. So this amount of heat is rejected is below this or D2C. So that is given by T2 into SC minus SD. So now from this diagram itself we can see the entropy at point C and entropy at point B is same, that is SB is equal to SC, whereas entropy at point A is equal to entropy at point D, and that is nothing but SA is equal to SD. So we can write this equation as SC is equal to SB, SC is equal to SB, and SA is equal to SD. From this TS diagram we can write this equation. So coming to next, heat rejected during isothermal condensation process CD is given by, so substituting this value of SC as SB and SD as SA, we can get this equation. So T2 into SB minus SA, this is nothing but amount of heat rejected. So amount of heat rejected is known, amount of heat supplied is known. So amount of heat supplied minus amount of heat rejected is nothing but the amount of energy converted into useful work. So here the work done, net work done during the cycle is nothing but amount of heat supplied minus amount of heat rejected gives us the net amount of work done. So net amount of work done is equal to heat supplied minus heat rejected. So therefore the work done is equal to QS is given by equation number 1, that is T1 into SB minus SA, and QR heat rejected is given by T2 into SB minus SA from equation number 3. So this is nothing but after taking common factor SB minus SA in this equation, we will get work done is equal to T1 minus T2, SB minus SA is taken as common. So this is equation number 4 gives us the work done. Now we want to find out efficiency of Carnot cycle. To find out efficiency of Carnot cycle, the efficiency of Carnot cycle is given as the ratio of work done to the heat supplied. We know work done as well as we know heat supplied. So the efficiency of Carnot cycle is nothing but work done divided by heat supplied. So work done is given by equation number 3, I think. Equation number work done is given by equation number 4. So from equation number 4, we can substitute work done and heat supplied both. So here efficiency is equal to work done is given by T1 minus T2 SB minus SA, and heat supplied is given by equation number 1, that is T1 SB minus SA. SB minus SA is in denominator, SB minus SA is in numerator. We can cancel this. So things will remain is T1 minus T2 divided by T1. So here efficiency of Carnot cycle is T1 minus T2 divided by T1. On further simplification we get this as T1 gets cancelled. So 1 minus T2 divided by T1. So this is efficiency of Carnot cycle. And efficiency of Carnot cycle depends on temperature. So here we have seen on TS diagram. So this is TS diagram of Carnot cycle. A, B, C, D. This is temperature T1, this is the temperature T2. So finally the Carnot efficiency depends on T2 and T1. Smaller is T2, smaller is the temperature of condenser, or larger is the temperature of boiler, will increase the efficiency. So T2 must be small, T2 must be small as much as possible, and T1 must be higher as much as possible, which will result into the higher efficiency of Carnot cycle. So always it is better to have higher temperature of boiler and lower temperature of condenser. So now some important points that have to be highlighted on the basis of this Carnot vapor cycle. Why this Carnot cycle is not taken as a reference for the thermal power plant? There are certain demerits in this Carnot vapor cycle. What are the demerits in this Carnot vapor cycle? We will discuss. Now first of all, coming to this Carnot vapor cycle. Carnot cycle using vapor need not necessarily operate with saturated liquid, may operate with wet steam also. So Carnot cycle using vapor need not necessarily operate with saturated liquid, may operate with wet steam also. So we can see in this diagram. So this expansion may be at dry saturated steam, or it may start earlier than that. So this is one of the advantages. This Carnot cycle may have steam at the expansion, may be wet or dry saturated, and not necessarily operate with saturated liquid, may operate with wet steam also. So here steam at the time of expansion may be dry saturated or may be wet. At the starting of this steam, this liquid may be a saturated liquid, or directly it can be supplied into the boiler at a particular liquid state. So this point A may be here or B may be here. So it means we can expand this steam when it is wet, and we can supply this condensate into the boiler. It may be saturated liquid or it may not be saturated liquid, it may be wet steam. Now next thing is upper temperature limit T1 is fixed. Higher temperature limit T1, then this temperature T1 is fixed because of boiler temperature, T2 is fixed because of condenser temperature. So upper temperature limit is fixed by the boiler and lower temperature limit is fixed by condenser pressure. Both T1 and T2 are fixed depending on the design of boiler and design of condenser. Then Carnot cycle being most efficient is not taken as a standard for reference for steam power plant due to following reasons. So this Carnot cycle is even most efficient, but it is not taken as a standard reference because of certain reasons. What are the reasons that we will discuss? So during isothermal condensation process, the condensation is stopped at point T before saturated liquid condition is reached. Condensation process is stopped in between, we can see here. So this from point C to D is condensation process. So this condensation process is stopped in between. This condensation process is not complete. So this steam is not condensed to become it as a saturated liquid. So it is stopped in between and wet steam is passed into the boiler directly. So this has another effect that we will discuss. The second thing is it is necessary to reach saturated liquid condition after compression so that evaporation may be started from A. So here we can see if we stop here condensation and this wet steam is passed into the boiler, when it enters into the boiler it has to become a saturated liquid, and it becomes very difficult to have this saturated liquid when it enters into the boiler. Then third one is compressor has to deal with a non-homogeneous mixture, that is water plus steam. So this pump which is supplying condensate or the wet steam into the boiler has to deal with non-homogeneous, that is partly steam partly liquid, because larger specific volume of liquid vapor mixture before compression, the compressor size and work input have to be large. So coming to this diagram, we can see at point D the condition of steam is wet steam. The wet steam has got larger specific volume. Larger specific volume requires a larger size compressor, and larger size compressor consumes more power, and consumption of more power by the compressor reduces the efficiency because work output will reduce. Amount of work produced, out of that some amount of work is taken by compressor to supply this wet steam into the boiler. So if it is condensed completely, then specific volume of this liquid will be very less. So if we take 1 kg of water and 1 kg of steam, steam occupies very large space whereas water occupies very small space comparatively. So if this condensation process is complete, so at point say D dash, if it is complete condensation, then only water is to be supplied into the boiler. So pump can supply this water into the boiler, whereas here pump is not working properly. Therefore here compressor is used to supply this wet steam into the boiler, and that consumes more work, and indirectly that reduces the efficiency of power plant. Then coming to this, higher power requirement for compression reduces power plant efficiency. So larger the compressor, larger will be the power consumed. Power consumption is more means power produced will be less. So say for example we are producing 10 kilowatt power. Out of that 1 kilowatt is consumed. So net output is 9 kilowatt. If this power consumption is increased to 2 kilowatt, then power output will be 8 kilowatt. So larger is the size of compressor, power consumption will be more, and therefore power output, net power output will be less. So this power consumed is subtracted from power generated. So power generated is 10 kilowatt. Out of 10 kilowatt, 1 kilowatt is consumed by compressor. There 9 kilowatt is net output. If the compressor consumes 2 kilowatt, then net power output is 8 kilowatt. So in this case, larger is the size of compressor, larger will be the power consumption, and therefore the output, net output power will be less. Steam consumption is higher. So here the power generation, amount of steam consumed per unit or per unit power produced is more. So here in Carnot cycle, the power is consumed by compressor, therefore steam consumption rate will be more. Now coming to next cycle, that is Rankine cycle. What is this Rankine cycle and how this Rankine cycle works? Just we will have introduction, and in next lecture we will discuss about Rankine cycle completely. So only today we will discuss about this PV diagram, TS diagram, and block diagram. So now let us see, this is a block diagram. Block diagram of Rankine cycle. PV diagram. And this is TS diagram. Let us start with this block diagram. So in this block diagram, initially we consider this water in the boiler. So here this water which is in this boiler, this is a water which is a saturated water. Heat is supplied here to this boiler, and this saturated water gets converted into steam. So here this point A indicates the saturated water, and heat is supplied to convert this water into steam. So steam enters into this turbine at point B. So this point B, steam enters into the turbine. At point B, steam enters into the turbine, and steam expands isentropically from B to C. Steam is expanded means work is done, power output we are going to get here. Power is obtained from this shaft or work is done. So at the end, steam comes out from this turbine and it enters into the condenser. So steam condensation starts, and this condensation process starts from point C to B. In this case, the steam is completely condensed, that is, it is converted into liquid. So at point D, liquid water, or we call it as a condensate liquid, comes out, and this D is nothing but inlet to the pump. So at point D, the feed pump passes this water into the boiler. It increases its pressure from point D to E. So that is nothing but boiler pressure. So point D, water enters into the pump, and it is pumped to increase its pressure from lower pressure, condenser pressure, to the boiler pressure, and then it is supplied at point A, E into boiler, and when it enters into the boiler, it's absorbs heat energy and gets converted into saturated liquid in this boiler. So from point A again phase conversion takes place. So similarly, that is represented on this TS diagram. At point A, this saturated water absorbs heat energy and gets converted into steam, and that dry saturated steam, we assume that steam coming out of this boiler is dry saturated first. Dry saturated steam. At point B, dry saturated steam comes out, and that steam is passed into the turbine and it is expanded isentropically from B to C. From point C, it enters into the condenser and this steam is condensed and converted completely into liquid. So in Carnot cycle, this condensation is not complete. So condensation process is stopped somewhere here. But in Rankine cycle, condensation process is complete and this steam is completely converted into liquid. So at point D, this liquid condensate is pumped to the higher pressure of boiler. So from point D to E, pressure is increased and then this water is supplied into the boiler. So from point E to A, sensible heat is supplied to this water in the boiler, and at point A, water becomes saturated liquid, and then after that, the amount of latent heat of vaporization is supplied, and this saturated water gets converted into dry saturated liquid, and this cycle repeats. So this is how it is represented on TS diagram. So on TS diagram, where amount of heat is supplied, if we see the amount of heat is supplied between E to A. The amount of heat starts, heat supply starts at point E. From E to A, heat supplied is sensible heat, and A to B, it is latent heat. So heat is supplied from E to A to B. So EA is sensible heat supplied and A to B is latent heat of vaporization, and work is done during process B to C. So here isentropic expansion is taking place. So amount of work done is between B to C and heat supplied is between E to B. So work done is enthalpy at B minus enthalpy at C, and heat supplied is enthalpy at B minus enthalpy at E. So that gives us efficiency of Rankine cycle. So today we will stop here, and in next lecture we will discuss in detail about Rankine cycle. Thank you.